Hello there, and welcome back to another edition of Japanese Sword. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to measure your sword, and we'll get into it right after this. Right, and welcome back. So today we're going to be covering how to measure your sword. Now, swords differ from period to period in shape, not only the curvature but the geometry as well. And on top of that, you also have wear, you know, from polishing and things like this, or damage in usage that might have changed the geometry or the shape slightly. So it's a good idea to keep a check or a record of all these dimensions, and then you can compare your sword to swords of the same period and see if it matches in, and you know, and then you get a general idea of its health or whether it actually is from that period and things like this. Okay, so for example, blades, if you look at this blade from the Oe period, you can see that it kind of tapers towards the tip there, you know, and it doesn't fan out around the kiseki. Now, whereas this blade, it's only 40 odd years old, and you know, you can see it's very healthy towards the tip, and it still fans out and things like that. So all these factors are important to record. So right, so we're going to start off with our blade naked already. You know, it's always a good idea to remove the oil, but if you don't take all the oil off, it doesn't matter, because unless you're worried about staining your surface or your measuring stick. But when you're putting the sword on surfaces like this, I mean, this is pretty much like the inside of a shirosaya, but you don't want to, if it slides about, you want to try and stop it from scratching. You need a little wooden block like this, soft wooden block, not necessarily, but it's handy to have, and a pair of calipers. Now, these are plastic. You don't really want to use metal because you might scratch the blade, and you still have to be careful with the plastic ones as well, so I would take great care. Always handy to have a lens cloth on hand for handling blades in general. And in this case, when it comes to the next stages of measuring, we're going to wrap the katana macro, the pillow here, we're going to wrap it in the lens cloth to protect the cushion, because we're going to use it for measuring the seki haba and the seki kasane and things like this. Okay, so first, let's measure the length of the blade. And that's called the nagasa, or the habatari in Japanese, because we only measure between the munemachi and the very tip of the kiseki. We don't measure the overall length. You can measure the overall length as well, but you know, this is the important measurement of the blade. Right, so we're going to start off, we're going to get the sword, get a good grip on the sword. We're going to do things you don't normally do. So you don't really normally want to touch the blade with your bare hands. We're not actually doing that, but we're close to doing that. We're going to put our thumb under the munemachi there, but keep a good grip on your blade and put it on your measuring device gently. But make sure that the munemachi lines up perfectly with the bottom of the blade, with the bottom of the measuring device there. Because we're only going to measure the actual cutting edge. And the way that that's done is a straight line between the munemachi and the very tip of the blade. From there, get your lens cloth, make sure that your blade's in there, and hold the blade in against the edge of the measuring device. Then get your wooden block, and you can slide it along and put it up against the tip there. Now, you have to be very careful with the tip. You know, this is not going to do much damage to the tip, but the tip is the hardest part of the blade because it's hardened on all sides. It's not only hardened on the cutting edge, but it's hardened on the mune as well. So you have to be, you know, it's a bit sensitive, so you have to be careful with the very tips of Japanese blades. Right, so from there, you take the measurement. Right, so in centimeters, that's about 72.5. Now next we're going to measure the sori. So we're going to put the cloth on the blade, hold it in there, hold it in tight there. Make sure it doesn't slide on the measuring stick. And then we're going to use the back side. Use the back side of these calipers. So we're going to slide it in there, like that. And find the deepest part of the curvature, around there. Okay, and that is 11.7 millimeters. Right, so that's that. Right, so next we're going to measure the haba, the moto haba and the saki haba, so the width at the base of the blade and the width at the top of the blade, and we're going to measure the kasane, the thickness of the blade at the top and the bottom, the moto kasane and the saki kasane. So okay, so let's put the sword on the cushion for now and get these other things out of the way. So we only have what we need. Alright, and just temporarily, let's put the sword directly on the surface there for a second. Now we're going to take the cloth and we're going to wrap the cloth around our cushion, because we want to protect our cushion and we want to protect our blade, because we're doing unusual things that, you know, things that we wouldn't normally do, you know. So to make it easier for measuring the blade, we are going to take the blade in our left hand. You can rest the blade on the cushion, open up your calipers, put them right at the base there, and measure the motohaba. So that is 30.14 centimeters. Okay, so next we move the blade up and we're going to measure the sakikasane. Now we're going to go just below the yokote. Now the yokote is kind of cosmetic because they polish the kisaki in a different direction to the way they polish the rest of the blade. They polish the blade lengthways towards the end in the finishing polishing, and then the kisaki is polished this way, perpendicular. So the yokote, even though it kind of divides the plane, where the planes change for the going down towards the kisaki, towards the cutting edge there, but it kind of gets worn away as it gets polished over years. But so you want to go just below the yokote, because there's no guarantees that the yokote is exactly on the change of planes, you know. But anyway, you should be able to see anyway. But okay, so just below the yokote is good, and then we have 14.94. Okay, so same place as the motohaba, but this time from above, we're going to measure the motokasane. So we open the calipers and we put it on the back of the blade there. Right, and try not to let it slide around, but there we go, 6.9 millimeters. Right, so we're going to do the same for the sakikasane. So again, look for the yokote. You don't want to, if it's got a fanning out place, you don't really want to measure at the fanning out place, because this gives kind of false readings. You want to, and make sure you're comfortable and it's nice and close and things like this. So you know, you put it there and bring it there like this and position it in the right place. Find the yokote thereabouts and then measure there, and we have 3.5 millimeters. Okay, so that's that. Right, there we go, and then we put it back down there. And now I'm going to clean this blade because I've been talking all over it. But that's how you measure your sword. And I'll see you next time. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, but most importantly, click that notifications button. Thank you very much. See you next time. Bye. Hello there. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please click on the like button and then on the subscribe button, but also click on the notifications button to make sure that you get future videos in your feed. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.